There I am. Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody is doing well. And I am going live as promised today. So, sorry. I just want to make sure if you can hear me, just let me know. And then if you are here, also let me know so that I can say hi. It looks like it's working on my end. Okay. I am not gonna take up a lot of time, but I wanted to go live tonight and just kind of um, just hang out with y'all for a little bit, but also just talk about a couple things, right? So I titled this "Creative" or "Crushed to Creative," is what I titled the live stream tonight. But I think probably because of what this week has been. It has been a crazy week. Um, Crazy unexpected. Also, because really the week, well, I guess the end of last week ended on a high, what with it being my birthday. So, of course, I was super excited about that. But as I was at my birthday, my daughter, whom I love, and who likes to tell everybody she is my favorite child, gave me COVID. So I don't know how much of my favorite child she is. But hey, Latara. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Ashley. Good to see you guys. Um, yeah, so the end of last week ended on a high. Oh, FY, you're here too. Hi. With it being my birthday, and then which was Friday, and then Sunday, I started feeling not the best. And sure enough, I have COVID. And so there's that, right? COVID by itself. It's the fourth time I've had it. It's been weird this time around. It could be worse. It is not. I'm happy. But still, it derailed my plans for the week. I am so grateful that I'm able to work from home. But it also meant that I didn't get to see my baby this week. So, and then 2 out of 5 boys got it as well. So it's been 3 of us that haven't been feeling the best. And then on top of that, on Monday, when I found before a little bit before I found out that I had COVID, that morning my car would not start. But not only would it not start, I mean, the tire was flat, like no air. We were not going anywhere. Okay. The car would not start. I mean, nothing ticking over, nothing. So the boys were not too upset about that. They ended up staying home. But I was like, what in the world? And so that meant the tire issue had happened a couple times before. So I figured, okay, it was a bigger problem than I thought. So I had to get 2 new tires. Okay. I am super grateful that I had the money to get them, but also I didn't really have the money to get them, if you know what I'm saying. So was not in the plan, not in the budget. It's a big expense to not be like to have to come up with at the time, but also having a working vehicle is maybe important, especially when I got 5 kids to ferry around. So I went ahead and did that. The next day, as if that wasn't bad enough, my sliding doors on the van haven't been working really, and they just have progressively been getting worse. So since they had to change the tires, I'm like, you might as well check the van, right? Very long story short, even though they were only supposed to check the doors, they are very good mechanics and good at what they do. So of course they check the whole thing and they come back with, "Oh yeah, hey, so you have like 3 major things going on. Hi, Stacy. You have 3 major things going on with this van that kind of need to be fixed pretty darn quick. And it will be, I mean, like $6,000." I was like, "Say what? Come again, Mr. Mechanic." What? Who got that?" I was like, also, Well, and the full amount with if I fix the doors too is like 3 times what I paid for the car. So I was like, sir, I am not paying no 3 times, okay, in repairs what I paid for the car. I think not. Um, and so that's been my week, right? And as I was, and I will be, it has not been a fun week at all, but it did make me pause. And I think I've been reflective anyway because I just had my birthday, and birthdays always do that to me, just kind of reflecting on the path that has come before and kind of just dreams and hopes for what's coming next. Um, but I think just because I was kind of in this reflective mood, I was like, man, if this had been even just 2 years ago, the week that this has been, it would have crushed me in a way that it has not this time around. Have I been mad irritated? Have I been pissed off? Yeah. Um, have I been like, have I said maybe a couple cuss words? 100%. Okay. Because it's been frustrating to me to no end. And then also just feeling sick on top of that. So just my body just not feeling right. But the speed at which I went from I'm being crushed and this sucks to okay, God, let's get creative. That time has gotten way shorter, right? So, what would have taken me maybe 4, 5, 6 weeks to get to this sucks to okay, let's be creative about this, that distance has gotten a lot shorter. So, I took my shower, I had a good long cry. Um, I have an amazing boss who gave me some bath bombs for Christmas. So I indulged myself in a bath bomb bath, just soaked my drama away. And up out of my bath, I was like, all right, this is not new to you. This is not news to you. And so, sorry if I cut out a little bit, but I was like, well, we've been creative before. So let us do this again. Right. And I think um, it sounds easy to just say, oh, let's be creative now, right? So, like in my retelling of the story, it sounds like it was quick, like boom, 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 bam. Um, and today I'm not as pissed off about it. But as I kind of look back on the whole journey, I'm like, I only am here because in all the other times that I've been crushed, he's been teaching me creativity, right? In all the other times in the past 10 years, right? What I've been calling my reset to factory settings, all the other times that I'm sorry, guys, my network's a little, I don't know why it's being so funky right now. Um, but in that, he has taught me creativity, right? And it's that very creativity that has helped to push through. So that relentlessness, that resistance, that resistance, right, to the things that the enemy is throwing at you, or just the things that life is just throwing at you in general. While he's been cultivating that, he's been also cultivating me in creative ways to go about going through the things that I'm going through, right? One of the big ones that I think of where I think, like, just when I look back where it started was in 2020 after my son disclosed what had been happening. Um, and my life legitimately fell apart, right? I was at that time crawling, right? Like emotionally, spiritually, mentally, I felt like I was crawling. Like I was so crushed that I just could not take the next step. Like I was praying literally for strength for each 60-second period. I was like, I just need strength for 60 seconds. That's it. Like, that's all I can even pray for. That's all I can even ask is for the next 60 seconds. And I felt like that's where I was, right, for a long time. And in that, and so I don't think I'd left the house. I want to say it had maybe been a good 2 weeks since I left the house. But in that 2 week time, I decided, okay, I need to move back to North Dakota. Nash is here. My grandson is here. Nash's ego was prego at the time. I was like, it just makes sense. All my on the ground support, like people's homes that I can go to, were in North Dakota. So I'm like, okay, I need to move back to North Dakota. And so on this day, I'd been looking on U-Haul, trying to figure out all the prices, like how much is it going to cost. Just got my taxes in, like, okay, or my tax refund. So let's make the move. And yeah, the prices were crazy, right? It was almost, I think, like $1,600 to get the U-Haul and the trailer and all of the things to come. And so I felt really defeated. Like, I was like, this is so dumb. Like, this is like, despair is now my address, and this is just where I'll stay. And I just had, like, I just felt just in my spirit, like, hey, take the kids for ice cream. And in the moment, I was like, this is stupid. Take the kids for ice cream. I'm trying to figure out how to get a U-Haul, okay, to get said kids back across the country. Okay. I don't have $1,600 for U-Haul. And then I'm supposed to spend some dollars on getting some ice cream. Like, that doesn't even make no type of sense. Um, but I felt very strongly like, no, like, y'all need to, like, just go out, get out of the house, take the boys, have some ice cream, like, just breathe, right? Like, just breathe for a second. So I said, all right, boys, like, let's get in the car, um, and let's go get ice cream, right? It's like, it's been 2 weeks of, well, I have been wallowing for 2 weeks, and y'all have basically been raising each other. So let's go and get some ice cream, right? So we got ice cream. It was amazing. We all needed it. We all just needed just, it was what we needed to kind of break the tension that was just at home, just with everything going on. And after said ice cream, then on the way home, just before I turned off, was U-Haul. And I just was like, felt like, okay, just go and check at the U-Haul store. Like, okay, maybe you don't got the dollars right now, but you have to go. Like, that's the only, like, at least get the information so that you can make a decision, right? If going back to North Dakota is not going to work right now, you don't know that until you have all the information, then you can make a decision. Um, and so I went to U-Haul and I said, hey, listen, I need to get back to North Dakota. I said, my life fell apart, and I need to haul myself and my children back to North Dakota. I'm not proud of it, but I also boo-hooed, okay, like ugly cry in the U-Haul store. um, yeah, it was not pretty, but I was like, hey, so I just need to get a quote. How much will it be? Because it was the beginning of the pandemic. Oh, and I had said, hey, I kind of looked online. Um, no, I don't think no, I didn't tell him initially that I looked online. So I said, hey, could you look it up? So he's going through the questions like, okay, how far do you want to go? Do you need a trailer? Blah, 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 all the things. And then he comes back with a number that was like, it was under $500, including a trailer to haul my car on. And I said to him, wait, what did you say? And he was like, yeah, it comes back to, it was like $486 in some sense. At which point, then I really boo-hooed. Like, I really started crying. And I said, you don't understand. I was like, I am a single mom. Yes, my taxes just came in, but I have a limited amount of money. Like, realistically, $500 is all I could afford anyway to get this and move and all of this. Um, and of course, he didn't know that before I said that, but I was like, and for it to come in under $500 was wild. Hey, Patricia. Um, And he was like, no, he's like, yeah, what with the pandemic, like people aren't moving as much, so we've got good rates. But he was like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm a single dad. I have two girls. I get what it's like, when life happens or whatever. He's like, so you know what? I'm going to throw in 30 days of storage on the Oklahoma side, 30 days of storage on the North Dakota side, yada, yada. Right. And so this week, right? As I'm sitting here with this repair thing that's telling me that it'll be like $11,000 in repairs. And I'm like, okay, Lord Jesus, what? What is this? I thought back to that story and how even though that was like, I was at my lowest point, I was feeling crushed in that moment, the creativity that he taught me in that, right? The creativity in terms of for me to change my mind, to change my perspective, to change my thinking took creativity, right? I couldn't, for me um to like walk out my faith, I had to think different. I had to learn to trust different, right? And that meant that I had to learn a different way of being, and that takes creativity. That shifting your mindset, that learning, like changing the way you speak, learning to constantly speak life over yourself, over your situation, over everybody else, that takes creativity. And it takes creativity because it's not your default, right? Now, it can get to be your default, right? As you keep walking it out, as you get stronger in it, right? Yes, it becomes your default, which is why I said now the crushing to creativity, I can do that in 2.5 seconds. But it wasn't always 2.5 seconds, right? It started with learning how to do it 2.5 months at a time, right? Like where the I had to, in that situation, right, in that particular situation, I learned that my solution, my initial solution, might not be the only solution, right? So yes, the website said one thing, but I had other options, right? So going to the store was a creative option because initially I was like, this is dumb. Like, why would I go to the store when I already know what the price says online? But taking that step of faith, taking that step of trust in that direction, even though I was at the point where I was crawling literally 60 seconds at a time, that even in my crawling was like a giant baby step forward. It was a giant step of faith. And it taught me that trust is creative, but that change, so having to change your mind, change your life, change the way you speak, change a habit, break something in your life, right? It's a creative pursuit, right? There's That's who you are. Inherently, we're all creative. Now, we might be creative in different ways, right? So I might be out here all with my crazy colors and doing all my crafts and stuff, and you might be, creative with numbers and able to look at a P&L and figure out a whole thing. That's not me. But we all are creative in that way. And Isaiah, the verse in Isaiah that I shared, what was it? Isaiah 40:31. Um, I might need to double check that address, but Isaiah 40:31, where it's talking about that those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength. And I had shared about how whether you're soaring like an eagle, whether you're walking, whether you are running, the promise is the same, that if you trust in God, He will renew your strength. And that renewal of your strength is teaching you sometimes how to think in a more creative way, how to think in a way that you haven't had to think of before, right? How to see yourself different, how to perceive things different, how to even your relationship with God, how that can change and morph and grow, right? But that doesn't all happen in 2.5 seconds right away. right? It starts with baby steps. So that verse in Isaiah goes, from flying to running to walking. And I think they should have added crawling on there, because I think even as you crawl, even as you take those tiny movements of faith in the right direction, right? Even though I was crawling at the time, that step in that direction, that step in trust and in faith, and believing that, if I'm getting this stirring that I should go to the store, what's the worst that they can do? Okay, the worst is that I go to U-Haul, he confirms what I already saw on the website, I'm not out anything, right? But because I took that step of faith, I took a step in the direction of faith, I went from crawling to walking, right? I went from, maybe I don't have to be on my hands and knees, right? Maybe this situation doesn't have to bring me to my knees. But if I hold on to trust, so if I hold on and if I trust in God, He will renew my strength. And I've just seen it happen, right? In one seemingly insignificant move of go and get the kids' ice cream, stop at the U-Haul store, I left my house that day emotionally, spiritually, and mentally on my knees, right? Just barely able to pick myself up. And by the time I got back, I was on my feet, right? Like, I was like, Now, I didn't go from being on my feet to flying right away, right? It was months in between that. But I got the strength to at least get up. And instead of crawling along, I could take tiny little baby steps. And before I knew it, those baby steps got bigger. The space between steps got bigger, right? As my pace got faster, I started to feel like emotionally and mentally and spiritually like, oh, wait a second. Okay, like I'm picking up momentum now. I'm running. I'm running. Like I get it. I got it. Like I can do this, right? Not in my own power, but like he's got me, right? And so he's holding me up, like we can do this thing. And then before I knew it, I was soaring, right? Now that time frame, I don't ever want anyone to think that it's like instantaneous, right? It's a process. But if you do the hard work, and if you would choose to shift your perspective, right, on your situation, to be like, what how are you teaching me to be creative in this situation? Or God, how are you going to show up creative in this situation? That distance between crushed and creative gets a lot shorter, and the race is a little bit easier to run, right? That doesn't mean that life isn't going to happen, right? If you've known me for a whopping 2 seconds, you know that even from that story that I've told you in 2020, my life has gone like this, up and down, up and down, up and down, hills and valleys. It's life. Okay. In this world, we will have trouble. We're promised it. We know it's going to happen. But this week, right, as I felt myself be on my knees, I was reminded of that story, because I was like, girl, we have been here before, right? You and I, we have been here before. We have been in this moment of being crushed, but we also have a track record of all the times that we got up. And not only did we get up, we got up, we walked, we ran, we were flying. We know what it is to fly, right? And nobody can take that away from you. No circumstance can take that away from you, right? Because no weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are more than a conqueror. You just have to remind yourself of that, right? So when life brings you to your knees, if you got to stay there for a hot second, stay there for a hot second, but don't wallow in it, right? You remind yourself, right? Listen, you remind God, even. You say, God, you know what? We've been here before, but you have always shown yourself strong and you have been creative, right? If even just looking in the 10-year span at the many, many creative ways that He has figured out my money when my money's been funny, and helped me just get to a better financial situation, like what? I mean, he has used all kinds of super crazy creative tactics, things that I would have never ever thought of, people that I would have never thought of, in like instigating and putting things together in ways that I've never thought of, that I have learned along the way that trust is creativity, right? That in trusting, he's teaching you creativity as he's building your character, right? As he's building, the tough things, resilience, resistance, relentlessness, right? All the big things. He's also building in you fun, creative things, right? Your joy, your peace, your patience, your kindness, your goodness. He's working all that out. And all of that, right? All of that works to show you, not to show you how creative your God is, but also then by extension, how creative you are. And I think it's that knowing that, it's understanding that, like it's momentum. The key to it is momentum to keep going, keep moving forward, right? Even if you're crawling, you don't stop, right? You say, God, I might be crawling, but you better hold my hand. Like I'm a crawl right next to you until I'm standing, until I'm running, until I'm flying, because I know what it is to fly. And therefore, I know that staying stuck here or in crawler mode is not where, that's not my permanent address, right? I know that you have taken me up from here time and time and time and time again, right? And so even if I'm crawling, I will keep on crawling, right? Even if I have to crawl 60 seconds at a time, even if that's all the strength I have, I will crawl 60 seconds at a time, right? Even if life happens and I'm down to 30 seconds, best believe I will be crawling 30 seconds at a time. I will not stop. Why? Because I trust that the God who had me soaring before can do it again. And why do I trust that? Because he has been faithful. He has shown it time and time and time and time again. Will we have trouble in this world? 100%, right? Is this the last week that things are going to happen and go wrong? No, of course not. I plan to live to a good ripe old age of 100 plus, and so I'll be in here going live, toothless and everything, telling you the same thing: to keep on moving, to keep on going. It's momentum, right? It is his power at work within you, right? So as you are moving, you're not moving only in your own strength, right? You're not moving only in your own purpose. You're not moving only in your own plan. He has good plans for you. He has a plan. He has a purpose for you. And so as you keep on moving, he is moving in you. So what you might think with your, physical eyes is just a tiny step, I challenge you to shift your perspective a little bit and be like, man, but what is God up to? Like, what creative thing is he about to do? And if he's done it before, he can do it again. But man, how is he going to show up this time? Right. Um, and I think it's exciting to me. I think that's what the Bible means, where it talks about, like, I count it all joy. Not necessarily that, you're in here just like, eating bonbons and throwing a party because, oh my gosh, I have to do all these things. But I think it's the understanding that, man, like, I've been here before. And I saw God bring me out of this. So it's almost like an excitement of like, oh, how's he going to do it this time? Right? How's he going to do it now? Like, what cool story, what cool testimony am I going to have to tell after this? Right? Who knew that taking my kids to go and have Brahms, which I miss, I want to go back to Oklahoma. But who knew that taking my kids out for Brahms was the very thing that God would use to put me back on my feet, right? With my physical eyes, that's nonsense, right? Like what? But when I see how mindful God is of us and how faithful he is and how creative he is, even in the way that he loves us, in the way he shows up, in the strategies, in the tools that he gives us. Like, my mind is blown, right? Even that Isaiah verse, I'm stuck on it. I've been stuck on it all week. I'll probably be stuck on it for a while, but I'm stuck on it because I'm just like, man, this has always been in the Bible, right? But to see it play out in my own life as I look over the last 10 years, that's part of what it has been. It's been keeping my momentum. So even when I wanted to stop, I kept going. Whatever that pace was, okay, moving at the pace of grace, that's going to be different for everybody. But I did not stop moving, aka I did not stop trusting. And I've also learned that it can be creative, that he's teaching me to see things in a new way, learning a new perspective, learning a new way of being, learning a new way of finding. That's creative. And because it's different, it's something that I need to learn and work out. But as I keep moving, as I keep going, as I keep leaning, learning, and trusting, I see his creative hand at work in it all. And so even though I have weeks like this that suck, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going, right? I keep going, I keep moving. Um, I might be on my knees, but now it's like for a hot second, then I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, we've been here before. And so I'm gonna get up and we're gonna walk hand in hand and we're gonna figure this out, whatever that looks like. And I am excited to see how God works it out, right? I'm excited to see how the car situation is going to resolve itself, right? My part is to keep moving, keep trusting, keep being obedient to what He's telling me to do. But man, like, how exciting that I get to see Him be creative again. How exciting that I get to learn to be creative again, right? I get to learn like just a new way of thinking about my situation, or like, ooh, let me call this person, or let me try this, or um hey, what lender did you use, all the things, right? A whole bunch of things. But um that crushing to creative doesn't have to take as long, but also I think it's part of what keeps you going, what keeps you moving. Is that is and I encourage everybody to do that, whether it's the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever your faith journey has been, but go back and track it, right? Go back, like, write it out on a timeline and see all the many places that God has shown up, shown out, come through. You've had breakthrough, you've walked, all the things, right? And then when life happens, when something else happens, go back to that and remind yourself that, hold up, we've been here, we got through it, and so we can get through it again, right? The goal and the key to it is to keep on going. And as you learn more creative strategies, as you learn more creative solutions, um, it gets easier, right? Not that it is easy, not the same thing, but you get the strength, the inner reserve that you need to understand that crushing is not forever, that crushing is not your permanent address, and that however long that journey is, whatever that process will be, that you can go crawl, walk, run, and you will soar again, right? So, um, that is all that I wanted to share with you guys tonight. So I am super, super glad that you guys were here, and that I could share. And that is my biggest encouragement to you, is just to go, like, just look back and just track it. See where he's shown up, where he's shown out, and use that as a reminder to yourself. Okay. So as I wrap up, the best way to get in touch with me is usually, obviously, my local peeps that are here, message me. It's the easiest. But you can message me directly here. Or I also have the Dear Single Christian Girl Facebook group, which some of you are in. You can message me there too. Or you can send me an email at jasmine at theeverydaycrownrocker.com. I will put it in the comments because I know it is a long one, but you can do that. And I will also include part of this tracking or being able to see the road, like to give yourself a visual aid to get you up off your knees, is the prayer board party that I'll be hosting in January. So there is a virtual option and there is also an in-person option as well. I will share the link, but one of the keys I think is to create for yourself kind of a visual of where you've come. And so together as a group, we will be creating your own personal prayer board that you will then use throughout the year. So I'll kind of walk you through like the different sections that we'll include on it. We will do some prayer time. We will do kind of some collective like Bibles, not quite, it's not a full on Bible study, but we'll do some collective Bible time and then we'll get that, we'll put that together and then we will stay connected. But it will be one way, one visual way to map out what I'm talking about. It's going to be one way that going forward, you can have something tangible that you have put up where you can see, huh, I crawled, I walked, I ran, and I soared, right, through your prayer life. And yes, there will be a virtual option as well. The virtual option will be on the Thursday, the in-person Thursday evening. Then the in-person option will be on Saturday. Now the dates are eluding me, and of course I moved my planner because that is smart. But I'll post it in the comments for sure, and I'll also be posting about it. But that I would say is for sure your next step, right? If you're like, oh, that sounds all good, I don't know how to do it for myself, you for sure want to join us for the prayer board party because we'll walk through with me kind of some of that mapping stuff so that you can create that visual for yourself, or the virtual one, the pajama prayer party, which that's also fun too. It'll be virtual, but it's gonna be so good. So yeah, so that is the best way um, to get connected. That is the best next step, and I will be sure to post it in the comments. But I'm so grateful for all of you being here. And that I just want every single crown rocker to get that just keep going, keep moving, keep trusting, keep praying, keep leaning on him and just watch as your creativity blossoms in the way you think, in the way you speak, in the way you live. Um, and how that just transforms your life. So, yeah. So, thank you guys. I will chat with y'all later, but it has been fun.